All right, what is up, YouTube? It's your favorite transparent YouTuber, Transparent Hoodie, coming at you with another One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 video. And I already have the title of this video pre-made, only because this screenshot confirms way more than what you think. And I'm just going to slowly break down everything I think it solidly confirms and just speculations I'm going to throw out there. So first, before we talk about anything that's confirmed or that could possibly be confirmed through this screenshot, the number one thing that we are going to touch over is definitely going to be obviously the screenshot. Like, we got to see what the screenshot is talking about. So the first thing that we've noticed when it comes to the screenshot itself is just that Kaidou. I have been reading multiple sources saying that Kaidou was a playable character within the game, and it makes sense, we have gotten other characters. Heck, I have the list of previous Pirate Warriors playable characters, and we have gotten characters in the roster of Pirate Warriors who, I guess you could say, their powers and ability wasn't fully showcased in anime or in manga, but they still made their own rendition of the character in the game itself. Like Shanks is the best example I can give. Shanks is the best example I can give from a previous Pirate Warriors game that doesn't really have much said about him. There's just a lot of lore behind him, but he was still made to be a playable character. And I could make the argument a little bit about Sabo, because at the end of the day, his fight with Fujitora wasn't a fully drawn out and fight to the death or even battle, really. I think both of them, for the most part, was just stalling one another. Like, no serious blows or intent to kill or just intent for victory was displayed in that fight between Sabo and Fujitora. So I guess you could kind of say, just like Sabo, for the most part, we haven't really gotten a chance to see his full potential. And Mihawk, same boat like Shanks, he's a character that is shrouded behind his lore and not really displayed much of his full strength. So whatever they end up doing or deciding to do for Kaidou, I'm all on board. Like, I don't know how this could be a bad thing. Like, more unique characters, the better. So that's the one thing that I'm really gunning for. Like, I really do want to see Kaidou playable in the game. Obviously, there's certain things that I would love to see him do in the game, like some of his maybe Zoan type transformations of him being a dragon. I don't know if they'll go as far as to show us his his subhuman dragon form. I doubt that. If they do, I mean, that would be dope, but I doubt it. I don't think they want to tread waters like that. Like, even when it came to Shanks, I think for the most part, they developed and made Shanks really safe as a character, where what you would expect Shanks to do, he did in Pirate Warriors 3. So I assume, from what we know of Kaidou currently in the manga, they'll probably just play around with that water as well. Like, they'll just make Kaidou as safe as possible. They'll give him moves and ability that makes sense to his character. But for the most part, I don't think they'll go overboard. Because honestly, I would still love to see, even in manga, I would still love to see Kaidou's subhuman dragon form. Like, that would be cool to me. Right under Kaidou, right over here, you're seeing the screenshot between him versus Luffy. And like I said, I mean, to me it was obvious. Like, they're going to do Kaidou versus Luffy. But there's something I'm going to throw at you guys a little bit down the line of the video, but there's something I definitely do want to throw at you guys. But back to the picture between Kaidou versus Luffy. So, self-explanatory, right? You see Kaidou, you see Luffy, they're going up against each other. If you read the manga, you pretty much already know what happens. If you watch the anime, then you're in for a very surprising treat when you pick up this amazing game. So Basil, believe it or not, I actually have a couple of things I want to say about Basil. Also, Basil is a playable character as well, which is really dope. If that's the case, if Basil is playable, then I don't want to just throw out confirmations when I have no right to. I have no, influence when it comes to this game, and I do not have any ties when it comes to the development process of this game. But I think it's safe to say that all of the characters, all of the people from the worst generation of One Piece is definitely going to be a playable character, especially when it comes to their roles in some of the arcs that this game is going to start reconstructing for the game itself, or the game story mode. It makes sense that most of the majority of the supernovas do become playable characters. It just makes sense to me, especially since the supernovas, I don't know if you guys have been playing previous Pirate Warrior games, but the previous Supernovas, or the previous Pirate Warrior game, sorry, they really got shafted, like, hard. Like, even in Pirate Warriors 1, where they still covered the Sabani Archipelago arc, the majority of Supernovas got shafted. Like, no real mention, no real, like, not even character models. I don't even think they got character models. Even in Pirate Warriors 3, I think some of them was assist characters, right? Were some of them assist characters? Not even. Like, yeah, not even. Some of them weren't even assist characters. Yeah, I don't know what is it with, like, them not wanting to even mention, refer to, or just put some sort of remnants of the Supernovas in these games. But hey, I guess this is going to be the game where all of that waiting and all of that shafting will finally get paid off, right? Because we already know Law is going to be in the game because he's had previous installments in the franchise. Basil just got confirmed. One thing got confirmed, which is the Whole Cake Island arc. It only makes sense because if they're going to do the Luffy versus Katakuri fight that we saw in the previous scanlation that came out, it only makes sense to do that arc in its entirety. And because Capone had such a pivotal part in that whole arc, it only makes sense to make him a playable character too. Honestly, like, Capone is probably one of the few characters in this game I'm really interested to see his, like, moveset. Like, I really want to see and check it out. So there's that. Now, just to talk about Basil a little bit more when it comes to his play style and how Hoodie potentially functions, Basil's a hard character. Like, I really don't know what they can do, because as much as I would love this game to be a little bit more unique and diverse when it comes to the gameplay mechanics, like, this game is very, very simple. Everybody, fundamentally speaking, functions like a brawler. Like, everybody for the most part functions like they just brawl. So saying or hoping that Basil can get maybe some unique characteristics specifically to himself, that might be asking much, but I mean, it's still possible. Because Basil is probably one of the more unique characters in the game because of the way how his ability function as a whole. Because pretty much, you damage Basil, you're damaging yourself. That one aspect could be a little bit abusable depending on the type of player you are. You could just use Basil to just kind of go through all the what if scenarios that they might, have in the game. But I don't know, like, I really think that would be a really interesting thing. Obviously, we have to work around the ability because we need it to be balanced. We don't want to have just a broken ability in the game because if you aren't familiar, like, there are battles against Basil that you have to go up against based off of what we've been reading in the manga, and you don't want to be in a situation where you're fighting an unbeatable opponent because all he's doing is just diverting his damage. That would be annoying. That would be man annoying. So there's that. Just a little thing. This is not a big thing at all. If they do it, it's cool. If they don't, it's whatever. But I would love to see them incorporate some of his cards in his fighting style. Like, make him be like a jack of trades where he's just throwing cards at his opponents and stuff like that. Maybe he'll just do like a twirl move and just spread out like a couple of deck of cards that he has or something like that. Obviously, I want him or them to incorporate his sword play into his gameplay. Another very interesting thing I would love for them to do is kind of give him that, like, Susanoo-like ability. I guess that's the best way to go about it. Like that Susanoo or Stan-like ability that he was showcased in the manga, where he did that whole straw man. He created his own straw man for offense, and then he was able to attack with his straw man. I think that would be pretty dope. Like, that would be a really, really cool thing to give to Basil. Now, last thing is Snake Man Luffy, right? Boom, Snake Man Luffy. We already knew about him from the last scanlation that did come out. And like I said, like, I'm hyped. Like, it's confirmed now. Like, we got solid confirmation that Snake Man Luffy is a thing. I don't know if I mentioned this in my other video, but I really would love for them to do like a ability swapping thing, where in previous Pirate Warrior games, you were kind of stuck with the abilities that they gave you based off of their charges. So characters would either have maybe 2 bars, 3 bars, or if you're Luffy, 5 bars. So when it came to your abilities and special moves, they're all charge based. So depending on how long you would charge or hold the special button or the special attack button, that's the ultimate that you're going to get. So for example, like let's say level 1 ultimate for Luffy is his pistol, which I think it is. His level 1 ability was pistol or ultimate. And he'll throw that out for level 1. You hold the charge button for your ultimate a little bit longer, and then he'll do like a jet gatling. Like that's pretty much how they did that. So I hope this time around, and it looks that way. So this is one of the few things that I'm assuming that is potentially a part of the game, where you're able to switch between your different abilities for characters. Obviously, not every character is going to have like an ability roster like Luffy, where pretty much Luffy can pretty much choose from, I want to say, tens to like a couple dozen abilities or a dozen abilities and stuff. So there's that. So Snake Man Luffy. All right. So these 3 pictures that we see right down here, right? So now I'm pretty much going to segue into what I think is concrete confirmation and speculation that I have for this game. So concrete confirmation, right? What I believe is going to be concrete is that this game is 100%, without a doubt. I have no doubt in my mind. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I really feel like I'm not. So this is what I'm going to confirm for you guys. When it comes to the ending or how far this game is going to go, I cannot translate this to anime only because the anime hasn't even gotten this far yet. So I'll give you guys like the manga chapter of One Piece. I don't want to show it for, copyright reasons. But like, this game is going to go all the way up to chapter 952. If you don't know what happens or what transpires during that chapter, then by all means, like, look it up. One Piece chapter 952. This is where this game is going to end. And then we're going to get the to be continued. It makes the most sense to me. I'm not going to give too much because I don't know if a lot of you guys are just anime watchers that's watching this video, but you are interested in the game and you're just like, you know what? I hope I don't get spoiled. I won't spoil you on the events that what happens in that chapter, but that to me makes the most sense. There's something that happens in that particular chapter where pretty much it shifts the mentality of the world, essentially. Let's say that. It shifts the mentality of the world because now the world government, high-end officials, and even pirates now have to take into consideration what happens in 952 because something world-changing happens. Also, when you look at the screenshots themselves, you also see Blackbeard. And the reason why I'm super pumped about this is, if you remember, around, I want to say, what chapter was it? It was a little further up. Chapter 908, Reverie begins. And this is where we're getting glimpses of different, emperors. Obviously, we're getting glimpses of different, Shichibukai around this point. We're obviously getting, events and things going on in the Reverie. We see that a particular character is on his way to Reverie to intercept it. You see all the kings and queens of the kingdoms coming to, like, that. Wait, wasn't this animated though? I'm pretty sure this was animated. I could talk about this, I think. Okay, we'll talk about it. So, we know that Dragon is on his way to Reverie. We also know that when it comes to Blackbeard, there's something going on for Blackbeard that he's interested in when it comes to Reverie. So, seeing that makes the most sense. Okay, seeing that makes the most sense. But I could also, I'll give you guys leeway a little bit. I personally feel like the game is going to end storyline-wise at 952. But from what this screenshot is telling me, technically the game could possibly end at 923 and just cut it out right there. But I feel like 952 would be a safer bet, only because I did some, digging. I went through the archives of how they release certain trailers for the game and the date that they release certain trailers of the game. Because I feel like, for the most part, when it comes to any game development, any game that is somewhat finished with their development cycle or to the point of completion, they release a trailer, right? So 3 months ago, sometime around July, that's when we gotten the very first trailer or teaser trailer for One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. we gotten the first official trailer showing us gameplay, I think like a month ago, like sometime around, I want to say August, September. So sometime around there. So that's when we got the first official gameplay trailer for One Piece. And like I said, keep those dates in mind. That's July, and that's sometime around August, September. So, boom. When it comes to a game development and the cycle of a game development, for the most part, they will show us their pre-made build, so that obviously the players and the community can get a consensus of pretty much how the game is going to function and how the game is going to work. That doesn't necessarily mean the game is finished or close to being finished. And if you guys look at the chapters of when a lot of these things happens, like even chapter, I'm gonna go through it right now, even chapter 923, right? Luffy versus Kaidou. That happened way before a lot of these trailers came out. These are all 2019 trailers, right? Luffy versus Kaidou, it official, online translated wise, it comes out it came out November 2nd, 2018. And if you guys look all the way down to chapter 952, because I really don't feel like they'll go past 952 because just the information given at that point is just obscure. But if you guys look at chapter 952 or whatever, right? Chapter 952 comes out August 17, 2019. So what I feel like is going to happen, One Piece comes out 2020. We have more than enough time for them to repurpose, animate, create, sub these cutscenes and incorporate them into the game. But that's just all speculation. I feel like they do have enough time to put all of this into the game based off of the release dates of the manga that we've gotten. Also, the time that this game is going to come out, 2020, there's no doubt in my mind we'll at least reach chapter 952. There's that. One thing that is solidly confirmed to me too, but this is something that always been associated with the Pirate Warriors game, so I'm not really all that surprised about it. But you see Sabo holding Luffy. So this either means one or two things. This could be, I'm pretty sure the scan talks about it itself, but I want to say that middle picture with Sabo holding Luffy is a what if scenario. It's definitely a what if scenario. I don't know if these what if scenarios, they're gonna throw money into it, where we're going to be getting fully cutscened what if scenarios. I kind of doubt it, but this could just be a what if scenario, or it could just be another game mode going into their own unique story that they want to tell with the One Piece characters, because that's very possible. They've done it with Pirate Warriors 2. I mean, they could do it again in Pirate Warriors 4, but make it its own separate game mode. And then the picture that you see with Luffy and Law, I'm pretty sure that's just maybe them gawking at Kaido, kind of reminiscent to what happened in the manga with Law was just like, Luffy, we got to get the heck out of here. And then Luffy is just like, nah, I'm going to fight Kaido now because that's the target anyway. Might as well get it over with. So that could be a reminiscent of that. And yeah. Other things that I kind of want to confirm as well too is I want to, I talked about it earlier on in the video about the supernovas being in the game, but it just makes the most sense to me. It really, really do. The only other thing I kind of want to say that is confirmed at this point is we might not be getting assist characters this time around. I mean, it's still very possible. They could still use some of the previous characters that was in Pirate Warriors 3 as assist characters and just port them over to this. But personally, I would really rather them just have a full playable character roster. I mentioned this in previous videos. Have a full playable character roster, and then after that, I feel like the community won't say no. After that, what would they really say, at that point, we would just love to have more playable characters, because the assist characters was never a bad function. It was unique to Pirate Warriors 3 at the time, and it was a very cool thing where you could just have a bunch of you and your assist characters going at it and doing these unique and very flashy special moves. But personally, I don't know. This time around, I would just love for every character that is in this game to be playable in this game. I would just love that. I'm saying a lot. I would like Dragon to be in the game too, but again, if they're going to self-insert what they did with Shanks and what they kind of done with, like, you know, I want to say Mihawk as well, and Sabo, I wouldn't mind Dragon being in the game, but the biggest issue about Dragon is how are we going to classify? Even the community don't really know what Dragon really do concretely. Like, it's always a split discussion, or everybody has their own little idea of what Dragon could potentially be. He could be a non-Devil Fruit user. People argue that he is a Devil Fruit user. People argue his Devil Fruit itself. People argue he's not a Devil Fruit user, but they argue the extent of his haki that he knows, his strength and ability. They even argue his title sometimes about the World Dangerous Man, whether that's a correlation to his power or a correlation to just him going up against the government, so he's technically considered to be the most dangerous man. So Dragon is up in the air a little bit. But him being a playable character, I'm 2 thumbs up for. Super 2 thumbs up for. But yeah, definitely. So I feel like that's really it. Let me know what you guys think about the things I was able to concretely confirm, and just to go over it one more time, pretty much the things that I'm going to concretely confirm is Supernovas, Worst Generation, all of them playable. Selectable moves in Power Warriors 4, so you can switch between your special abilities and your ultimate moves in Power Warriors 4. What if scenario, or a new separate storyline outside of the original storyline. So that I definitely want to confirm. The ending of the game is definitely, in my opinion, is going to be chapter 952. You can look it up. You can see the events that happens if you don't mind spoilers. But if I were you and you're only watching anime, you continue to watch anime, don't look that up. Some things that might be a little bit fuzzy, so I don't want to guarantee these things are going to happen. Dragon as a playable character, that's number 1. Number 2, obviously, I'll still mention it, 952. They only talk about Luffy versus Kaidou, so the game could potentially end at 923, so that's kind of like iffy right now. Assist characters not being in the game, that's a little bit iffy as well. We don't really know. They could always bring them back, but personally, I would love for them to bring them back, and that's pretty much it. So guys, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Please, without a doubt, let me know how you guys feel about the scanlation, how you guys feel about the things I've said for the video, and you know, you guys have yourselves a good one. Peace.